Hi friends, thank you all so much for coming back to craft with me today, and welcome if you're new here to my channel. My name is Alyssa, and today I'll be making another one of these journals with you all using junk mail envelopes. So if you missed the flip through of this journal, I will link that down below. It really is just envelopes stacked on top of each other, and then the envelope lids here I turned into tuck spots inside of the journal. So we're going to make one of these today. And I'm going to grab a few different size junk mail envelopes. But if you just want to take a piece of paper, like any size paper that you have, you can use your scraps or things like that. You can just simply fold your paper into thirds and make your own little envelope like this, and just make a ton of these, all different sizes. And that would be a simple way to create this journal here. But I'm going to be using my junk mail envelopes. So I have 5 today, and they're all sort of different sizes, but I'm probably still going to cut some of them down because these heights here are pretty much very similar. So I think that I'm going to cut this one down a little bit just so I can have some more of that layered effect. First, my smallest envelope here is almost 7 3/4 of an inch tall when I'm holding it this way, because this is the way that we're going to be holding our envelopes. So this one I'll probably cut down to maybe 8 1/4. And it'll stack like this. And my next one over here, I might cut that down just a little bit, or I think it should be fine. I think I'll actually cut down my biggest envelope here in the back because it is a bit tall. So let's see. Maybe I'll cut it down to like 10 1/4. Okay, so this is how they're gonna stack. You can see all my different layers here. So I think those are all good sizes for me. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to decide which envelopes I want to actually utilize the window here. So I probably do want to utilize this on my first page. And let's see. This window here is nice and tall, but it is going to get covered up by my lid over here. So I might just not use that window. And the rest of my envelopes don't have windows. So I could probably just use the window here and this window here. So you can see too that most of my envelopes here also have the lid still attached. If yours doesn't have the lid attached like this, you can always create one with your scraps or whatever paper you have. So we will be using the lid here. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to just cover up all of my envelopes. So I'm going to kind of go with a different theme with this journal. And I think I'm going to use this paper pad here by the Paper Boutique, Lovely Days. And I got this on orientaltrading.com. But I just love all of the pinks and the bright colors, and it's so springy. So I thought just to switch up the style a little bit, I've been doing a lot of like the vintage inspired floral, shabby chic, whatever you want to call it, style with these types of journals. So I'm just going to do something more bright and springy. and I think it will still come out super cute. So what I'm going to do first is cover up my smallest envelope here. And since I want to utilize the window, I'm going to just trim off a very small piece here on the side so that it's open. So I'm actually going to bring my paper trimmer back / scoreboard, and I'm just going to slice off a little bit of the edge. So maybe I'll cut it at 3.5 here. And I'm just going to grab a little scrap paper or something like that just to cover up this busy inside. So maybe something like this. This is a scrap from the same paper pad, so I'm just using that. And you could cover up the whole entire inside of the envelope, but my concern is just with the window and what's showing through that. So that's why I'm just using a small little scrap here to just cover up at least that portion. Next, I'm just going to cut out a sheet of paper here to just cover up the front of my envelope. So again, my envelope here measures 3.5 by almost 7 3/4. So I'm going to cut out a sheet of that size. And that's going to cover this up. And I'm going to just grab a pencil here, and I'm going to just kind of lift my paper up here and make some marks on the blank side as to where this little window here is on my envelope. So I can just cut out the same shape on my paper. So I kind of just lift my paper up and just make a little mark on the back like that. And then I'll just cut this shape out here on my paper trimmer. And I'm gonna see how that looks. Looks pretty good to me. It doesn't have to be perfect. So I'm just gonna glue this sheet right on top. And it is a little bit long, so I'm just gonna cut off the excess here at the bottom. But that's gonna be my first little page. And I'm gonna flip this over and just cover up again this and my lid here. So I'm just gonna use the same paper here, and let's see. I think I want it to be 4 3/4 of an inch wide, just so I can cover up everything all at once. So I'll do a little bit more than 4 3/4. And again, it's going to be 7 3/4 or so tall. So let's see. My lid here is about 1 1/4 wide. So I'm just going to score this here at 1 1/4. Fold that over, because this whole piece I kind of just want to glue like this. So that'll take care of this whole side. And then make sure that you seal up this edge too for the pocket. And I'll just put this whole piece over top. So we've got our pocket here, and this is all set. And then I'm gonna grab my next envelope, and I'm gonna just kind of see what's gonna be showing here. So if I glue this down, pretty much just this window will be showing, so that's fine. And I'm probably just gonna glue the lid here. I'm gonna glue it down completely. I'm probably not gonna do a tuck spot, just so I can see what's behind the window here. So let's just move on to this envelope. I'm going to again cut a little sliver off of the side here. So let's just cut it down to 4 across. And let's see, let me find a paper for the inside there. Okay, and again, I'm only worried about this window here. Okay, and I'm going to just do the same thing here and try to just make marks on the back of my paper that line up with my window. And I'll just cut out this shape. Okay, so that looks good to me. Okay, so that side is all set. And since this is open like that, I'm just going to glue the top here just to seal that pocket up. So same kind of method as my first envelope there. And then this whole sheet will just go onto this side. And again, I'll just make sure that this edge here is sealed up for the pocket. Okay, so here are my first two little pages all set. So essentially I'm going to be gluing the lid now onto this envelope onto the side. So this is where you can create a tuck spot, or like I said, I'm just going to glue this part down completely so that we can see this window. But I'm just going to continue covering up the rest of my envelopes before I start assembling everything, or gluing them together at least. So here is my next envelope, and you can see here that I don't have all of the lid, so that's fine. What I'm gonna do is I'm just going to create my own lid. So this is a little scrap strip that I had, and let's see, my envelope here is about 9¼ tall this way. So I'm going to cut my strip down to that size. And I'm just going to do a little score, maybe at like 1/2 inch here. And I'm going to fold that over. And so my little 1/2 inch section there, I can just simply glue inside of my envelope. So let me just glue my little 1/2 inch tab here. And I'm going to slide that inside of my envelope. This little piece you could just cut off, but I'm just going to glue it down, I guess, like that. Okay, so I did it this way because obviously we're going to glue this down, so I want my pattern to be showing. So there's our makeshift lid. And then for this envelope, I decided I wasn't going to use the window here, just because this lid is kind of covering it, but you could always cut your lid down as well if you have a window and you want to use it. But I already have 2 windows, so I guess I'll just cover up this whole envelope here. So this envelope is 5 inches wide this way. So you could also just double that. So I could cut out a piece that's 10 inches wide and then just wrap the excess around the back. I think I'll do that. So let's do a little bit more than 10. Sometimes I just like to give myself a little bit extra just in case. And then how tall was this? This was 9¼ I think. So 10 by 9¼ and I'm just going to glue that down here. It almost just pains me to cover that up, but I'm doing it. Okay, here we go. Cover that whole thing up there. And then when I flip it over, you can just fold this whole piece right over top. Another thing too is you can actually use the envelope here as a pocket. So let me just see how this is going to look. You could also just keep this page as like a flip out page and just cover this up again and cover this up with something else. So it's a little more interactive that way. I think I'm just going to glue it down over here. Okay, so I brought that over top, and I'm actually going to grab my circle punch, and I want to just make a little notch here. Just like that. So we have a little pocket here. And that is going to be it for this envelope. So this is what we have so far. Okay, so you can obviously do as many envelopes as you want, but when you reach your last one, you actually want to hold it this way. Well, I mean, you could hold it whatever way you want, but I hold mine this way with the lid opening here on the right. So this envelope lid is going to get glued to the side here. And then I can have a tuck spot here if I want. And this can also be just another pocket. So this one here, I'm just going to cover up the same exact way, but I just wanted to make sure that you were holding it the correct way if you're making it like me. Okay, so that's all my envelopes covered up. So for the last envelope, at least, I did cover both sides of my lid, and then I'll have this big pocket here. So I'm going to remove this, and now we're just going to glue all of our envelopes together. So I know this one is a little bit tall, but just take your very last envelope that you're going to be using. Again, make sure that your lid opens up here on the right. And then you're going to grab your next biggest envelope. And so the lid here is going to be glued. You can pretty much glue it wherever, towards the top, towards the bottom, in the middle. But if you want to do a tuck spot, you would just flip this lid over and obviously just glue the side and the bottom here. So if you are doing a tuck spot, what I like to do is, if you do have some of the lid from the junk mail envelope, I just like to put some tape right over the edges of the junk mail envelope lid, just to ensure that things can get tucked inside of your tuck spot without it getting stuck like on the lid here. So I just like to put a little tape down the side. So, I mean, you won't even see this part, but that's what it looks like. And then I'm going to glue down just the side here and the bottom. And then I'll flip this over and just place this right on top of my back envelope. And I'm placing mine towards the bottom here, but there's still like a little bit of space. So that's just how mine looks right now. And we're going to grab our next biggest envelope, and same thing. You could do a side pocket or a tuck spot. So I think I'll turn this one just into a side pocket and glue all 3 edges here. I forgot to tape that one. Hold on a second. Let me just put some tape along the edge there of the junk mail lid. I guess I should have just cut it off, right? And now we can flip this over and attach it to this envelope. And again, if you don't want any pocket or tuck spot, you can just glue this down completely and then glue something else over top, or journal, add a photo, whatever else you want to do. So that's all set there. And whoops, you're going to grab your next biggest envelope and same thing. Okay, and then my last envelope here, I was not going to do a tuck spot or pocket, so I'm just going to glue the lid down completely on top of there. Okay, so this is the journal all set and put together, and we just used our junk mail envelopes, paper, and glue, and we've got all these fun window pockets. We've got tuck spots, and we've got actual pockets from the envelopes here. So I'm going to probably end the video here, and I'll come back and show you the final flip through once I'm all set in part 2. So don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already to see the final flip through of this journal, and leave me a comment down below. I would love to hear from you, so thank you guys so much for being here, and I'll see you all very soon in my next video. Happy crafting and huge hugs!